Some Boston neighborhoods are reclaiming some of their historic character as garden suburbs, but to serve 21st century needs. Some of the efforts in that direction have been led by a nonprofit called Speak for the Trees Boston. We'd like to welcome its executive director and co-founder, David Meshoulam. Thank you very much for being with us, David.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me, how did this all get started?
Well, I was a high school science teacher, and I got really, I felt really boxed in by being in a classroom. And I realized that I wanted to be engaging with people in places that made a difference in their lives. And with climate change being a serious and sort of existential issue in our city and around the country and around the globe, I found that trees were just a really powerful way to bring people together and talk about that issue.
Well, one place where your organization has done a lot of work is in the Bowdoin, Geneva area of Dorchester. Why that area?
We found a really wonderful partnership with a couple of organizations that are working at the grassroots level, one being Hero Nurturing Center, the other one being Farmers Collaborative. And we had an opportunity from a corporate sponsor to do a pretty substantial investment with trees in a neighborhood. And the opportunity just came along. It's an area that could use a lot of, or is in need of a lot of revitalization. There's a lot of community engagement around taking some of those abandoned lots and transforming them and activating them. And we worked at the grassroots level with these groups to sort of match the need of what they were envisioning with the vision that we have as an organization.
When you revitalize a lot, what exactly are people doing with it?
So the vision there is twofold, and we sort of brought in a third fold to it. First, Hero Nurturing Center is an organization that's committed to people finding and experiencing oasis through nature and healing through nature. And that space that's created is now a space where people can really find respite. Farmers Collaborative is an organization that looks at green spaces as a place to bring food and food justice. It's a place where people can meet, they can harvest food, they can grow their own food on site. And our vision complemented those where we see green spaces as a way to improve the air quality that people breathe, or to reduce energy use, or to improve stormwater mitigation. All those visions together are centered on the needs of the community and the vision that the community has for a sustainable and healthy future.
Go back a little bit about people meeting each other. I have a good feeling when I walk by a garden, I see people talking to each other inside it. Why is that so important?
I think that we've become, as a culture, closed off to each other, closed off to having new experiences. We tend to be down on our cell phones instead of looking around us. And when you create these spaces where people can get their hands dirty, or get to knock on each other's doors, or get to plant a tree together, you're bringing people out of their neighborhoods. Boston tends to be a city that's pretty neighborhood specific. Sometimes people would even call that a pretty segregated city. We're trying to find spaces where people can connect, get to know other people, get to sort of reclaim ownership over property and neighborhood spaces, and care for each other. Our vision is we really care for the act of planting a tree. You're caring for the tree, but you're also caring for your neighbor. You're caring for your grandchild. It's this vision of really building a sustainable future for us all.
And we can bring up a clip showing some of that work as it's happening.
This part of Dorchester has empty, blighted lots. And we know that if we turn places that are ugly into beautiful spaces, we create healthier communities.
Really all throughout the city and every neighborhood of Boston are neighbors coming together to say we want to do something to make food more accessible, to bring nature back into our neighborhood. That's where these food forest gardens have really gotten their energy, is from the local people.
I'm just so incredibly excited to be collaborating with such an amazing team. I cannot wait to see the end result.
We're here today to really transform this lot into a green space.
David, I had a grandparent we used to visit between Geneva Avenue and Bowdoin Street, and I remember back in those old days, there were trees there that were taller than 3 deckers. They're gone now, and I miss them. What are we losing when those trees vanish?
We lose a lot, and trees, we have to remember, have a lifespan. They come and they go, and we have to recognize that they're limited in what they can provide, but we also need to celebrate those we have and take care of them. We lose a sense of memory, we lose a sense of history, that collective shared experience. I think a tree can sort of mark all that. But we also lose healthy air. We also lose cool air, right? So right now, parts of Boston that are under canopied, people are in what we call urban heat islands, where in the summers they're facing up to 10 degree warmer temperature in the day. And that's unhealthy. They're also experiencing more polluted air or more flooding, right? So there's this environmental benefit. There's this economic cost where people are actually having to spend more money on things like air conditioning. People who often are least able to afford it. And then we also have the mental benefits, right? Trees have been shown to reduce incidence of heart attacks, reduce asthma, these really concrete health benefits. And when you lose that in a community, you're creating inequitable distribution of the basic green infrastructure that allows people to live healthy lives.
Well, one thing you're going to do to alleviate that on Saturday is provide trees for people to put in their yards. So can we have a little more details on how that's going to work?
Sure. So we were lucky enough to partner with Arbor Day Foundation, and they put us in touch with John Hancock. And John Hancock is really committed to helping Boston become a resilient city. And we pitched them the idea of doing a free tree giveaway in a community where people are really hungry for this. They're hungry for trees. They're hungry to connect. And when we started talking about this idea with our local partners, where we did the tree planting in the fall, they said people really want fruit trees. For a lot of these communities, it's a sign of wealth. It's a sign of self-sufficiency. So we worked along closely with them to find those right trees that aren't too big, that don't require a lot of maintenance, but that can speak to the feelings and the commitments and the ideas of that community. So we're providing persimmons, which are a wonderful fruit to eat if you haven't tried one. We're providing service berries, which are local. We are also providing sour cherries and a couple of Chinese apricots. And these are all self-pollinating trees that do pretty well without a ton of maintenance.
So the when and where?
So this is going to be May 11th. At 424 Geneva Ave. It's going to be May 11th from 10 to noon. And that's on the corner of Geneva and Leroy. It's about 3 or 4 blocks north of Fields Corner Red Line Station.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
David Meshoulam.